In a world where power dictates history, there emerges a figure shrouded in the paradox of his time, an adept minister in times of governance, a cunning hero in an era of chaos. This has become the posthumous image of Cao Cao. Amidst the lengthy annals of China's history, adorned with formidable emperors and valiant heroes, stands Cao Cao. He is a man who never saw his ambition of unification fulfilled, whose fleeting dominion lasted less than 50 years. Yet, remarkably, this unsuccessful figure has become a name known to all. How has Cao Cao, a leader who might be deemed a failure by the measures of his day, secured such an enduring legacy? What has cemented his tale in the hearts and minds of people centuries after his passing? Moving beyond the label often cast upon him as an antagonist, Cao Cao's military career is nothing short of remarkable, a testament to his prowess that left an indelible mark on the history of warfare. His strategic acumen came to the fore at the Battle of Guandu, where he wielded the art of war by Sun Tzu with such mastery that he decisively defeated his chief rival, Yuan Shao. This victory was not just a battle won, but a turning point that allowed him to secure control over northern China within a few years. Further cementing his legacy are the campaigns that showcase his ability to triumph against the odds. In 207 AD, his expedition against the Wuhuan tribe stands as a testament to his innovative military strategies. While the campaign to pacify the region of Liang province in 211 AD serves as a classic example of his unconventional tactics, each campaign adds a layer to the understanding of Cao Cao not just as a figure in the annals of history, but as a strategist whose actions continue to be studied and marveled at to this day. Further cementing his legacy are the campaigns that showcase his ability to triumph against the odds. In 207 AD, his expedition against the Wuhuan tribe stands as a testament to his innovative military strategies. While the campaign to pacify the region of Liang province in 211 AD serves as a classic example of his unconventional tactics, each campaign adds a layer to the understanding of Cao Cao not just as a figure in the annals of history, but as a strategist whose actions continue to be studied and marveled at to this day. In retracing the steps of Cao Cao's military exploits, we uncover the breadth of his influence and the depth of his strategic mind. His legacy in warfare is a rich narrative, woven with victories that extend far beyond the battlefield. Despite the setback at the Battle of Red Cliffs, which thwarted his dreams of unification, Cao Cao's legacy is not solely defined by military conquests. He was a visionary who reconstructed a dynamic and robust government. His agricultural reforms, known as Tunshan, revolutionized food production, stabilizing and enriching the lives of his people. He also oversaw the construction and repair of water conservancy projects, essential for agriculture and infrastructure, and implemented a state monopoly on the salt and iron industries, rejuvenating the economy and ensuring the welfare of the population. Cao Cao's political writings provide a window into the soul of the statesman. They reveal a man of depth and versatility, whose governance style was as complex as his personality. Through these texts, we can trace the contours of his political acumen, his approach to leadership, and his vision for a society that thrives in peace and prosperity. But the essence of Cao Cao cannot be fully appreciated without delving into his artistic soul. Beyond his military and political ingenuity, he was also a poet of significant stature. Cao Cao was a pioneer in adapting the yuefu, a musical and poetic form, to express his emotions, illustrating his deep connection with the arts. His poetry was not just a mere pastime. It was an extension of his complex identity, offering a glimpse into the emotions of a man navigating the turbulent tides of his era. His cultivation of music further exemplifies the breadth of his talents and interests. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we embark on a journey through time to the era of the Three Kingdoms, to meet a figure of legend and lore, Cao Cao. We will unravel the story of this extraordinary individual who left an indelible mark on the waning days of the Eastern Han Dynasty as a distinguished statesman, military tactician, poet, and calligrapher. Join us as we traverse the multifaceted layers of Cao Cao's life, from the battlefields where he commanded with strategic brilliance to the quieter moments where he wielded the brush with as much finesse as the sword. Understand the man who was as adept in the art of war as in the art of words, whose legacy transcends the confines of his time and continues to resonate through the ages. Early life. In the inaugural year of Yongshou during the Eastern Han Dynasty, the year 155, a child was born into a family of the eunuch class in Qiao County of Pei State, present-day Boizhou in Anhui Province. This child was Cao Cao, whose destiny was to become one of the most storied figures in Chinese history. His foster grandfather, Cao Tong, served loyally as a eunuch through 4 imperial reigns, earning the title of Marquis of Fighting under Emperor Huan. Cao Cao's father, Cao Song, himself an adopted son of Cao Teng, rose to prominence as the Grand Commandant under Emperor Ling. From a young age, Cao Cao exhibited signs of sharp wit and political savvy. At the tender age of 10, he encountered a fierce challenge while swimming in the dragon pool. A menacing crocodile lunged at him with open jaws and thrashing claws. But instead of succumbing to fear, Cao Cao engaged in a calculated dance of survival with the beast. With his composed demeanor, he managed to evade the crocodile, which eventually fled. Upon returning home, he chose not to speak of the incident to his family. It wasn't until later, when an adult recoiled in fear at the sight of a snake, that Cao Cao's courage came to light. He laughed heartily and innocently remarked, "I faced a crocodile in the dragon pool without fear, and yet you're afraid of a mere snake. How amusing." His candid confession of the encounter left everyone around him in awe of the young Cao Cao's bravery and composure. The events of December 189 AD marked a significant turn in Cao Cao's life and in the broader context of the late Eastern Han Dynasty. Having returned to his home territory of Qinlu, Cao Cao threw himself into the preparation for rebellion against the tyrant Dong Zhuo, who had seized control of the imperial court. Cao Cao's actions demonstrate his commitment to the cause and his ability to inspire loyalty and support. By spending his own wealth to recruit local militiamen, and even personally working with blacksmiths to forge weapons, he set an example of dedication that likely galvanized others to join him. The support of local notables like Wei Zi, who offered his own resources, further underscores the widespread discontent with Dong Zhuo's rule and the readiness for change among the gentry and common people alike. Cao Cao's raising of troops in his home county was one of the early sparks that ignited the widespread uprising known as the Campaign against Dong Zhuo, which would see numerous warlords and factions across the land rise in opposition to the despotic warlord who controlled the young Emperor Sten. This moment was a key early step in the chain of events that led to the fragmentation of the Han Dynasty and the subsequent period of the Three Kingdoms. The commencement of the campaign against Dong Zhuo in the first month of 190 AD, known as the Year of Chuping, marked a pivotal juncture in the late Eastern Han Dynasty. This collective uprising, spearheaded by regional governors and influential leaders, was a response to the tyranny and despotic rule of Dong Zhuo, who had taken control of the imperial capital in the young Emperor Sten. The alliance of regional powers, including Yuanshao, Yuanshu, Hanfu, Kongzhou, Wangquang, Ludai, Zhangmiao, Xiaomao, Yuanyi, and Baoxian, signified the fragmentation of central authority and the rise of local warlords asserting their autonomy and power. These figures, each commanding significant military and political resources, united under the common cause of opposing Dong Zhuo's regime. Their choice of Yuan Shao as the leader of the coalition reflected his prominent status and the respect he commanded among his peers. Cao Cao's role as general who displays bravery during this campaign was an important step in his ascent as a military leader and statesman. The campaign against Dong Zhuo saw a conglomerate of warlords and heroes of the time, rallying under the leadership of Yuan Shao. The strategic encampment at Xuanzhou was a critical location during this military endeavor. While many looked up to Yuan Shao as the chief of the coalition, it was Bao Xian who astutely perceived Cao Cao's potential to be a central figure in restoring order amidst the chaos. Bao Xian's foresight proved prescient when, after Dongzhuo's heinous act of burning down the capital city of Luoyang and forcefully relocating Emperor Xian along with the imperial court to Chang'an, the coalition's resolve seemed to falter. Many of the commanding generals, intimidated by Dongzhuo's might, hesitated to advance. The prevailing atmosphere was one of trepidation, with none daring to launch an offensive against the tyrant. It was during this period of uncertainty and inertia that Cao Cao demonstrated his decisiveness and daring. He broke ranks with the apprehensive coalition, mustering his forces and advancing westward, alone. In a critical move during the campaign, Zhang Miao dispatched a detachment led by Wei Zi to reinforce Cao Cao's troops. Cao Cao aimed to capture the strategic point of Qinggao, but as fate would have it, his forces encountered those of Su Rong, a general under Dongzhuo, at the Bian River near Xingyang. The clash resulted in a devastating defeat for Cao Cao, with heavy casualties among his soldiers. During the fierce battle, Cao Cao himself was wounded by an arrow, and his mount was struck down. In this dire moment, Cao Hong, a cousin and loyal follower of Cao Cao, exemplified bravery and loyalty by giving up his own horse to Cao Cao, choosing instead to guard him on foot. This selfless act allowed Cao Cao to escape under the cover of night. The fierce resistance put up by Cao Cao's outnumbered forces impressed Su Rong, leading him to the conclusion that taking Xuanzhou would not be as straightforward as anticipated. Despite his victory, Su Rong decided to retreat, acknowledging the tenacity and the fighting spirit of Cao Cao's troops. After Cao Cao returned to Xuanzhou, he found the allied forces to be substantial, numbering over 100,000. Yet, the various commanders indulged daily in feasting and revelry, with little inclination towards strategic advancement. Recognizing the need for decisive action, Cao Cao proposed a comprehensive strategy to turn the tide against Dongzhuo. 1. He suggested that Yuan Shao mobilize troops from Henei to advance upon Mengqi. This move would pressure Dongzhuo's forces from the north and cut off potential retreat or reinforcement paths. 2. The generals at Xuanzhou should maintain a stronghold at Qinggao, secure the strategic granary at Aotsang, and blockade the crucial passes of Hulao and Taigu. By controlling these vital choke points, they could dictate the flow of enemy movements. 3. Yuan Shu was to launch an offensive towards Dan River and Xi, pushing through to Wuguan. This would pose a direct threat to the heartland of Dongzhuo's power, the Sanfu region, potentially drawing forces away from the front. 4. Cao Cao urged the construction of fortified and formidable bulwarks, advising against direct confrontation with Dongzhuo's legion. Instead, he proposed utilizing guerrilla tactics with mobile strike teams to harass the enemy. By exerting control over the Guangdong region and avoiding outright battle, they could place themselves in an impregnable position, biding their time for internal discord to weaken Dongzhuo's camp. Despite the soundness of Cao Cao's strategic proposals, they were not accepted by the other commanders, possibly due to their complexity or the commander's lack of vision. Following the devastating loss of many soldiers in the battle at Xingyang, Cao Cao had little choice but to leave with his loyal officers, such as Sima, Xiahou and others, to recruit new forces in Yangzhou. In Yangzhou, the regional governor Qinwen and the prefect of Danang, Zhou Xian, provided Cao Cao with over 4,000 men. However, as Cao Cao's force marched to Longkong, a mutiny broke out among the troops. In the chaos of the night, the mutineers set fire to Cao Cao's camp. In a desperate effort to quell the rebellion, Cao Cao personally executed dozens of the insurgents, barely escaping the burning encampment with around 500 men who had remained loyal. Continuing his march through the regions of Jia and Jianping, Cao Cao managed to gather 1,000 more soldiers from the remnants of his defeated army. With this force, he decided to join Yuan Shao and Heinai, seeking refuge and a position within the larger coalition against Dongzhuo. The collapse of the coalition against Dongzhuo was a significant moment in the early stages of what would become the period of the Three Kingdoms. The disintegration began with practical concerns such as the depletion of supplies in the camp at Swanzhou, which led to the disbandment of the armies as they each retreated to their own territories. The internal strife compounded the dissolution, with the murder of Qiao Mao by Lu Dai serving as a grim example of the discord among the supposed allies. The political maneuvers did not cease with the disbanding of the coalition. Yuan Shao and Han Fu's plot to enthrone Liu, the governor of Yuzhou, as emperor, was a clear attempt to consolidate power and legitimize their position against Dongzhuo. They sought to bring Cao Cao into their scheme, but Cao Cao's refusal to participate indicated his independent stance and possible foresight into the volatile and treacherous political landscape. With the coalition's focus shifted away from the threat of Dongzhuo and towards their own preservation and machinations, only a few, like Cao Cao, Sun Jian, and Wang Kuang, continued to actively oppose Dongzhuo's forces. The rest held back, each harboring their own ambitions and playing a waiting game, which contributed to the fragmentation of power and the onset of a prolonged period of war among the warlords. After the disintegration of the coalition against Dongzhuo, the strategic landscape for the various warlords began to shift significantly. Cao Cao, recognizing the power vacuum and the need for a base of operations, heeded the advice of Bao Xian to avoid direct confrontation with Yuan Shao, who had recently taken control of Jizhou, Ji province. Instead, Cao Cao aimed for development in Yanzhou, Yan province, located south of the Yellow River. At this time, the Black Mountain Army, led by figures like Yu Du, Bai Rao, and Sui Gu, with an army of over 100,000, launched an offensive against Wei Commandery and Dong Commandery. The local government, under the administration of Wang Gong, found itself unable to resist the onslaught. Seizing the opportunity, Cao Cao convinced Yuan Shao to allow him to take command of the situation in Dong Commandery. Cao Cao's subsequent victory over Bai Rao at Puyang demonstrated his military prowess and solidified his reputation as a competent leader. This victory was significant enough for Yuan Shao to endorse Cao Cao's appointment as the Grand Administrator, Tai Shou, of Dong Commandery, a position that would enable him to establish a foothold in the region. Cao Cao set up his base in Dongmiang, strategically placing himself in a position that would later serve as a springboard for his rise to power. Gather Shandong. In the third year of the Chumping era, 192 AD, Cao Cao had his forces stationed at Duanqiu. The Black Mountain Bandits, led by Yu Du, saw this as an opportunity to attack Dongmiang. In a strategic countermove, Cao Cao led his troops directly to Yu Du's main camp at Mount Shi, West Mountain, forcing Yu Du to abandon the siege of Dongmiang and respond to the threat to his base. Cao Cao, seizing the moment of victory, then pushed forward to Neiwang and achieved a significant victory over Sui Gu and the southern Xiongnu chieftain, Yufuluo. This series of victories effectively quelled the disturbances in Dong Commandery, bringing stability to the region. During the summer, a massive Yellow Turban army, reportedly numbering 1 million, invaded Yanzhou. The governor of Yanzhou, Lu Dai, ignored the advice of Bao Xian, the Chancellor of Jibei, to avoid confrontation. His decision to engage in battle led to his death, throwing the entire state into panic. In the face of this crisis, Qin Gong, one of Cao Cao's subordinates, went to Changi to recommend Cao Cao as the successor. He approached the assistant officer and the administrative assistant, advocating for Cao Cao's appointment. Bao Xian, who had harbored similar thoughts, along with state officials including Wan Qian, traveled to Dong Commandery to welcome the governor, Cao Cao, and promote him to take on the role of the governor of Yanzhou. Following Lu Dai's death and Cao Cao's assumption as the governor of Yanzhou, Cao Cao engaged the Yellow Turbans east of Shoujiang. Initially, his forces suffered defeats, but Cao Cao quickly remedied the situation by intensifying training, enforcing strict rewards and punishments, and continually deploying unexpected tactics. His forces conducted relentless day and night assaults, ultimately forcing the Yellow Turban army to retreat. Tragically, Bao Xian died in the chaos of battle. Cao Cao, valuing Bao Xian's loyalty and service, offered a hefty sum for the return of his body. When his efforts to recover the body were unsuccessful, Cao Cao had a wooden effigy carved in Bao Xian's likeness to honor and bury, a testament to the respect he had for Bao Xian. Cao Cao did not stop with the retreat of the Yellow Turbans. He pursued them all the way to the state of Jibei. With no avenue for further retreat, the entire Yellow Turban force surrendered. Among them were over 300,000 soldiers and about 1 million non-combatants, including family members. From these, Cao Cao handpicked the strongest and most capable to form the legendary Qingzhou army, a force that would contribute significantly to his later successes and become renowned for its discipline and fighting prowess. During this time, Emperor Xian of Han issued an edict appointing Jin Shang as the governor of Yanzhou. However, before Jin Shang could assume his post, Cao Cao led a military campaign against him, forcing Jin Shang to flee and seek refuge with Yuan Shu. The rivalry between Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu had escalated into enmity, with each attempting to consolidate power by forming alliances. Yuan Shao reached out to Liu Biao of Jingzhou, whereas Yuan Shu aligned with Gong Sunzan and Tao Qian. Cao Cao, as an ally of Yuan Shao, assisted him in defeating several strategic threats. Liu Bei, who was stationed at Gaodang, Shan Jing, who was in Pingyuan, and Tao Qian in Danyi. These victories further strengthened Yuan Shao's position and, by extension, Cao Cao's own power base, as he was acting in support of and as a key ally to Yuan Shao. In the fourth year of the Chuping era, 193 AD, Cao Cao was encamped at one city. At that time, Liu Biao cut off the supply lines of Yuan Shu, who was entrenched in Nanyang, placing him under severe pressure. Unable to withstand the strain, Yuan Shu led his forces northward with the intention of seizing Yanzhou. He coordinated with remnants of the Black Mountain Bandits and the Xiongnu leader Yufuluo, establishing a position at Fengqiu and sending his general Lu Xiang to hold Quanding. Cao Cao's forces launched an attack on Lu Xiang. Yuan Shu advanced to relieve his general but was defeated by Cao Cao. Cao Cao took advantage of this victory to begin a siege of Fengqiu. Before the encirclement was completed, Yuan Shu broke out and retreated to Xiangyi. Cao Cao pursued him, winning several consecutive battles. Eventually, Yuan Shu was forced to retreat further into the Jiuzhong Commandery in Yangzhou. Following this campaign, known as the Battle of Quanding, Cao Cao returned his forces to Dingao. In the autumn, Tao Qian, the governor of Shuzhou, launched an assault on the eastern part of Yanzhou's Taishan Commandery, leading to the unfortunate demise of Cao Cao's father, Cao Song. The circumstances surrounding Cao Song's death were controversial and became a point of contention. As a consequence of this incident, Cao Cao began a campaign against Tao Qian. With the assistance of Yuan Shao, Cao Cao's forces advanced to Pingcheng, where Tao Qian, unable to withstand the assault, retreated to defend Tanqing. It was during this campaign that Cao Cao was accused of committing excessive atrocities, a claim that has been debated and is shrouded in controversy. In the first year of Xingping, 194 AD, Cao Cao entrusted Sun Yu and Chengyu to hold the fort while he launched another offensive against Tao Qian, pressing towards the eastern regions of Donghai and Langya. He achieved a significant victory at Tanqing against Liu Bei, who had come to assist Tao Qian, causing Tao Qian to nearly flee back to Danong in fear. Amidst this, Zhang Miao and Qin Gong, fearful for their own safety due to their allegiances, Zhang Miao due to his association with Yuan Shao and Chen Gong because of the execution of Bian Rang, conspired with the middle officials Su Si, Wang Kai, Zhang Miao's brother Zhang Chao, the prefect Mao Jia, and Su Wang, to invite Lu Bu to take the position of governor of Yanzhou. Lu Bu seized Puyang and received widespread support from the counties of Yanzhou. By the time Cao Cao returned with his forces, his control had been reduced to just 3 counties, Wanqing, Fan, and Dongye. The battle between Cao Cao and Lu Bu at Puyang was marked by intrigue and close calls. The influential Tian family of Puyang acted as internal supporters for Cao Cao, opening the gates to welcome his forces. Cao Cao set fire to the eastern gate, vowing not to retreat. However, he faced a fierce counterattack from Lu Bu and suffered a crushing defeat. In the chaos, Cao Cao attempted to flee but was captured by Lu Bu's men. Unrecognized by Lu Bu, Cao Cao was directly asked about his own whereabouts. Cao Cao cleverly deflected by saying, "The one who escaped on horseback is Cao Cao." Believing this ruse, Lu Bu released him, allowing Cao Cao to narrowly escape capture and possible death. After regrouping from the initial defeat, Cao Cao reorganized his troops and once again faced Lu Bu in Puyang. The subsequent battle was a protracted siege that lasted over 100 days. As both sides ran low on supplies, they ultimately retreated. During this critical juncture, Cao Cao considered defecting to Yuan Shao, but he was dissuaded by his advisor Cheng Yu. Heeding Cheng Yu's counsel, Cao Cao abandoned the idea of defection. Nonetheless, he decided to personally visit Yuan Shao to request assistance. His diplomatic efforts were successful, and he was able to secure a contingent of 5,000 soldiers, which he brought back to Yin province to continue the fight against Lu Bu. In the second year of Xingping, 195 AD, Cao Cao achieved a significant victory over Lu Bu's lieutenant Shui Lan and Li Feng at Zhuz. Lu Bu and Qin Gong gathered their forces for a counterattack. During this encounter, Cao Cao's men were mostly out harvesting wheat, leaving him with only a little over 1,000 soldiers in camp. Ingeniously, Cao Cao set an ambush. When Lu Bu, noticing the thinness of Cao Cao's ranks, mounted a light-armed assault, Cao Cao's hidden troops sprang the trap, resulting in a resounding defeat for Lu Bu. Capitalizing on this victory, Cao Cao took Dingyao and dispatched forces to reclaim various counties, forcing Lu Bu to flee to Xuzhou. Later, as Cao Cao laid siege to Yangqiu, he captured the city and executed Zhang Chao's family, consolidating his control over the region. At this pivotal moment, Emperor Xian of Han officially appointed Cao Cao as the governor of Yin province. Upon receiving this appointment, Cao Cao sent the emperor a tribute of 2 boxes each of pears, chestnuts, and jujubes. After 4 years of hard fighting in Yin province, Cao Cao not only received recognition from the imperial court, but also firmly established his first territorial stronghold, marking a significant step in his rise to power. Dear listeners, this is the end of this episode of Cao Cao's legendary story. Cao Cao's story is very long. I plan to tell it in 3 episodes of video. The next episode will be more exciting, and we'll talk about Cao Cao's 4-party conquest and unification. Northern China and the famous Battle of Red Cliff begin. I invite you to share your thoughts on this historical narrative. Were there any moments that surprised you, or aspects of Cao Cao's life that you see reflected in the modern world? Please join the conversation by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed this journey through history, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.